Hello friends, today we are going to understand law of demand in detail with different examples. I have covered following points in my video. Meaning of law of demand, demand versus quantity demanded, graphical representation of law of demand, 6 assumptions of law of demand. Let us start with meaning of law of demand. The law of demand is a fundamental principle of economics. The law of demand states that the quantity purchased varies inversely with price. In other words, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, and lower the price, higher the quantity demanded. For example, a baker sells bread rolls for $1 each. They sell 50 each day at that price. However, when the baker decides to increase price to $1.2, they sell only 40. Demand versus quantity demanded. The fundamental difference between demand and quantity demanded is that while demand simply denotes the willingness and a person's ability to purchase. For example, if hot dog prices declined to $5 each, then demand for hot dog would likely rise. And if hot dog price increases to $6, then demand for hot dog will decline. As against this, quantity demanded represents the amount of an economic good or service desired by consumers at a fixed price. For example, at the price of $5 per hot dog, consumers buy 2 hot dogs per day. The quantity demanded is 2. If vendors decide to increase the price of a hot dog to $6, then consumers only purchase 1 hot dog per day. Graphical representation of the law of demand. The law of demand is usually represented as a graph. The graphical representation of the law of demand is a curve that establishes the relationship between the quantity demanded and the price of a good. Most frequently, the demand curve shows a concave shape. However, in many economics textbooks, we can see the demand curve as a straight line. Sometimes the demand curve is also called a demand schedule because it is a graphical representation of the demand schedules. Here is an example of a demand schedule from the market for gasoline. So if the price per gallon is $1, quantity demanded is 800 millions of gallons. When the price is $1.2, the quantity demanded is 700 millions of gallons. For $2, it is 460 millions of gallons. And for $2.2, it is 420 millions of gallons. So you can see the demand curve like this. Price in this case is measured in dollars per gallon of gasoline. The quantity demanded is measured in millions of gallons over some time period. Assumptions of the law of demand. No change in habits, customs, and income of consumers. Law of demand tells us that demand goes up with a fall in price and goes down with a rise in price. But an increase in price will not bring down the demand if at the same time the income of the buyer has also increased. If the price of a product increases by 10% and at the same time income of the person is also increased by 10%, then though the price of a product increased but its demand will remain same because of the increased income. This law is not applicable in case of necessities of life. It is assumed that this law is not applicable in case of necessities of life because an increase in the price of flour will not bring down its demand. Likewise, a fall in its price will not very much increase the demand for it. Joint demand. Goods which have joint demand also falsify the law. For example, an increase in the demand of cars will lead to more demand for petrol. Whereas the law of demand states that the demand for petrol should increase if its price falls. Articles of distinction. Law of demand does not hold good in case of those goods which confer social distinction. Articles of social distinction means those goods which are highly valuable or priceless and their supply cannot be increased even if a high price is being offered for them. For example, Kohinoor diamond. Can we increase its supply if million trillions are offered for it? Fear of shortage in future. If there's a fear of shortage of a good in future, its demand will increase in present as people would start storing. But according to law of demand, its demand should go up when its price falls. If the buyer predicts that future price of wheat is going to rise, then he or she will demand more quantity of wheat at present. Change in the price of substitutes. This law does not apply in the case of tea and coffee because these goods are substitutes of each other. When the price of coffee goes up, the demand for tea shall increase, although there has been no fall in the price of tea. So friends, these are the points covered in my video. Thanks for watching.